Are we live?
Let me see.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we are live. Yeah, we're live now.
Well, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. We have today Max Chambliss. We're gonna have a chat. We've never talked before, so it's gonna be interesting to see what we can discuss today. Thanks for being here. We already have a bunch of comments since I posted the live stream, so we can go through some of them. Do you know about the S90F? People were asking here in the comments. That's probably one of the most interesting TVs for us because the S95F has the matte finish. So people were asking if that was gonna have the glossy. Do you know? Have you searched about that?
A great question. So I would have to talk to FOMO and Brian about it a little bit, but from my understanding from the research, I think it's going to be glossy, the S90F. They didn't have it at CES, but that was kind of like the rumors regarding the S90F. So there's no concrete answer until when it gets released. I'm hoping that it is. But I'm 80% sure it's going to be glossy. From what I've been doing some research from ABS forums to looking at other content creators as well too, from when they was doing interviews with other with Samsung. With Samsung specifically, they was talking about the S90F. So I think it's going to be glossy, but I don't want to say 100% certain, but more than likely it is.
Yeah,
Which is good. Is good news.
I also searched and on it. There was a site. I forgot that they were saying it was going to be glossy. So what I guess is that's gonna be the same 144 hertz panel. So probably about the same as the S90D. So we're gonna have to wait and see what's gonna be the brightness and the specs for that.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's gonna be probably the TV to look forward, in my opinion, for next year, for this year actually.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the most popular TV just because I know a lot of people are against the matte screen, and not only the matte screen, but the One Connect box is going to be the S95F. And if just like a lot of your viewers right now probably haven't seen my channel, but I did a review on the S95C, and I was having some issues with the One Connect box, specifically when I was gaming, where for some apparent reason it was intermittently just like flickering black. It was like the black screen was just going in and out in my signals, and people were saying like, "Oh, you just got a bad TV. It has nothing to do with the One Connect box." And I was like, "No, there's something wrong with this. It's not making sense." I was connected to my AV receiver and stuff. I was having issues with that, and then all of a sudden, like after I did a review, months later, people were saying like, "Oh, I'm having issues with the One Connect box. They keep flickering with gaming and stuff." And it's something to do with that. I don't know how Samsung engineered it and stuff, but it's just the One Connect box. It seems like it's always an issue for people who are trying to game on it and stuff. So,
Which size was your S95C?
It was a 77-inch.
Oh, okay. Because I actually have two One Connect boxes, but they are for 55-inch because I got the S95C and I replaced it, and I replaced it for the S90D because I have some issues with it. I didn't have any drops though, so no drops for me, and I have a brand new One Connect box that I'm selling. Absolutely brand new, sealed in its box. It has never been opened, so I cannot guarantee that one is gonna be perfect. But I have another one that was tested for me for a month. No issues with drops. but that's something very, very specific. S95C, 55 inches. So if someone has a 55-inch S95C, I have a One Connect box for you if you have an issue with it, or if you just want to have a backup, just in case. But yeah, the One Connect box is a deal breaker in my opinion, because even if you don't have any drops on the PC, you cannot use some of the NVIDIA features like NVIDIA image scaling and DLDSR.
Mm,
And that's a big problem, especially if you want to get a 5090 or 5080, any of these high-end GPUs, where you can, for older games, you can get more pixels to make them look better, and you cannot use those features with if you have the One Connect box. Even if you disable DSC, display string compression, you cannot use it because of that One Connect box. It doesn't let you remove the 4096 by 2160 resolution. All these TVs come with that resolution, which is like the true 4K resolution.
mm,
And that's a problem also because some games look stretched. And to solve that, sometimes you can, instead of full screen, you can use borderless.
mm,
And I'm saying they look stretched even if you select 3840 by 2160. By having that resolution, by that resolution exist and being listed, it causes that stretching with some games. So you might see the wheel of a car, and instead of being rounded, it's oval. And that's a problem that you cannot solve with the if you have the One Connect box.
Now, so I was doing some research on that because when I was running an issue with the flickering, I remember somebody was mentioning in AVS forums specifically, and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. So you do have the full 48 gigabit bandwidth on the HDMI 2.1 ports, but the cord that goes from the One Connect box to the TV, it only is a limited bandwidth. And I think that's what's the issue is when it comes to gaming specifically. I'm not 100% certain on there, but I remember when I was doing some research, and I think it's on the Samsung website, that the connection cord, that thin wire, whatever it is that goes to connect box and you plug it up to the TV, the bandwidth is I think it's 40.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that may limit a lot of the gaming capability, especially for PC gamers specifically. Not with console gamers, because you only have 4K 120, and most of the games not even really doing 4K 120. But for PC gamers, it it is an issue because a lot of the settings that you were just mentioning is probably is having issues because of that connection cord itself. So that was like one of the other reasons why I don't like how the whole one connection box worked, because they advertise it as 48 for the ports, but if you look at the connection cord that goes to the TV, it's not 48. So it's kind
yeah,
of like,
yeah.
what the
That's
hell?
another problem. And the problem with that is you cannot use 4K 120 full RGB and 12 bits. You have to lower it to 10 bits. Like you can do that with the 90C or 90D, because you do have the full 48 bandwidth. But that wouldn't, for me, that's not like the biggest problem. I mean, my LG C1 is also 40, and I have no issue with that. But yeah, the One Connect box is definitely a mess. And the thing is, Samsung puts that on the flagship like if it was something premium or something good. And yes, if you wall mount the TV, it might be, you know, more flat against the wall or nicer. But yeah, man, it's not. I think if Samsung has a flagship TV, that should be designed for enthusiasts because it's more expensive. And those features and the matte finish and all the stuff that are for the masses, that would be for the 90 class TV, in my opinion. So if you're gonna use one connect box options or matte finish and all of that, that's for people that are not enthusiasts. Put that on the
Mhm.
90 class, and then the 95, that has to be glossy, that has to be the highest bandwidth, that's with the least amount of issues. But yeah, I don't know, they do whatever they want with that.
Yeah, I was just trying to look up a link right now to see if I could find the One Connect box, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. But
Well, let's
yeah,
read
it's
some of
just
the comments then. uh,
yeah.
let's go, Ariel. The 5080 hasn't been getting good reviews. I mean, it's a great GPU. The reviews are complaining because of the price. They're charging $1,000. I It's not a big improvement when it comes to usually you get for the same money you get more performance than the previous generation, and that's not happening that much, just a little bit, if any. So reviewers, of course, they call that out. But the 5080 is like the third, number three most powerful GPU. You have the 5090, 4090, and then the 5080. So it's a great product. They are complaining because it's not a huge improvement based on the price. But if you have an older, if you have a 3080, for example, like me, the 5080 will be a great, very good upgrade. That's like 40% to 50% faster, and it's not a bad GPU at all. I want my 5090, but it will be great too if I get a 5080. But
Yeah.
I'm not.
Oh, I was just gonna say I agree with you. I saw the reviews as well too. I see a lot of people was disappointed with it, but yeah, you also I think people have to realize too is like that those GPUs are just about to come out or just came out, and they have to be optimized as well too. Because a lot of developers still haven't took the utilizations of those GPUs yet, and over time it just get better and better and better and stuff. Because you see, they're still doing demos on Cyberpunk, and that game been out since 4 years, 5 years
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and that's like the game to go to if you want to make sure everything is working correctly and stuff. So just give
Have
it some
you
time.
have you tried the new DLSS with the driver update? What do you have, by the way? What's your setup?
So
You have a PC or just a consoles?
no, so I just have the console. I did have a PC a couple years back, but I ended up getting rid of it. I had a 3070 at the time, and that's where everything was getting screwy with work and stuff like that. So I had to get rid of a lot of things at the time. And I just kept my MacBook, which you see right here. But I'm going to go ahead and build a new PC for myself. That's why you saw like the video. And when I was talking to people at Micro Center, I was like, "Yeah, I'm about to get the 5090," and the manager just started smiling and laughing at me. He was just like, "You're not going to get one."
No way.
And I was like, "Why?" He said, "Dude," he said, "our shipment, we only get like maybe 3, maybe 4 per location." And he was just like showing me on the map how many they get, and they're not even told how many they will get for each inventory and stuff, or when they're going to ship it. So it's like it's going to be a useless, you know, situation for you to try to camp out, and it's not even really guaranteed. And and he was saying like even if you went to Best Buy or something like that, that's not even guaranteed either, because people get stuff online and stuff, and you can even camp out there too, and they don't even know what their inventory is. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, all right. So well, I could still just build it. He said, yeah, you could just be prepared for it and get your PC kit. Because I was looking at my PC cases, I was looking at the motherboard and stuff. I mean, the regular stuff, and I was trying to get ready for it and stuff. But when the manager told me that, I just got really bummed out. And I remember you was messaging me. I think we was looking at some other live chat, and I was so bummed out because my Micro Center here in Michigan, the guy he just let me down. He was like, "You're not gonna get one."
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
I just didn't want to say in
I
the
would
chat.
recommend you to wait, because if you have to wait too long, then the price of the PC components that you're going to buy, they might drop in price usually, we get something better. So yeah, you might have to wait like a year. So yeah, don't buy something more expensive now if you cannot use it until you get the GPU. But yeah, it is it is a tough situation. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
let's
funny.
read some of the comments here.
I was
Try to
about to
get a
say,
1590. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny because I had my buddy on the other stream and he said he got the 4070 and stuff, so he's not even going to upgrade from his and stuff. He's
Well,
perfectly happy with this 4070.
man, I was gonna ask you about if you had a PC, if you tried the new drivers, because let me tell you, for all RTX GPUs, NVIDIA upgraded the DLSS, the way the upscaling looks, and I think that's by far the most important thing about these 50 series GPUs is that NVIDIA focused on the software. So yeah, the 5080 is not getting great reviews. 5090 is very expensive. The generational improvement is very small, close to nothing. You basically are paying more for that, additional performance. You're just paying for it. So it doesn't feel like a new generation really. It feels like a TI super variant of the same previous GPU, but NVIDIA focus on the features. So maybe it was not cost effective to jump to a new node to reduce the size of the transistor. So they are using the same size, but with an improved manufacturing or stuff like that. So maybe they said, okay, we cannot go and give you a generational leap when it comes to the hardware. So then we have to focus in the software. And they did. And so they come out with this DLSS improvement. This is called a transformer model, which is absolutely incredible. In my opinion, this is basically completely obliterating the competition. Like, it doesn't make any sense to even consider, in my opinion, if you already have an AMD or Intel GPU, enjoy it. That doesn't mean you're gonna have to throw it away and get an RTX GPU. But if you're in the market to buy and build a new PC, in my opinion, forget about comparisons or watching reviews comparing AMD, Intel, and Nvidia, even at the low end, comparing frame rate and all of that. Forget about that, because DLSS now looks absolutely amazing. So the quality of the frames. So I don't care if the AMD has 20 more frames, those frames don't look the same as NVIDIA. Now DLSS looks amazing. So if you have any RTX GPU, NVIDIA upgraded how good your GPU looks without you paying anything. And I think that is that was the promise with these GPUs having the tensor cores and all the AI power and all of this stuff. NVIDIA promised that was going to pay out, and they delivered. Because you have a very old GPU right now, let's say you have a 2070 or something like that, 2080, and now it looks so much better with the DLSS transformer model. So I'm blown away with it. I installed the latest drivers. Previously, I shared a video to get this working before they released the drivers, but now it is official. And you can basically replace the old DLSS on any game that supports DLSS with the new one. So this is not something that is only for Cyberpunk or only for the latest games. This is for everything that already supports DLSS. And you do this, and even upscaling from 1080p looks amazing. It looks like, to make it clear, it looks as close as possible to raw resolution. You see, when you use TAA on these games, they look kind of blurry. if you turn TAA off, it looks raw. Of course, you have a lot of shimmering because these games don't have enough pixels. Well, it looks as close to that, but without the shimmering and without the aliasing, which is amazing. It's like magic, really, absolutely insane. So that is really the best about this generation, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was kind of shocked that NVIDIA even released that update for the previous GPUs because usually you have to either upgrade to the latest one and to even get those features. So that was a
That's
shocker to
correct.
me and stuff because I'm talking to my buddy. He's on my other channel right now. He's watching the stream and he has a 4070 and he was just talking about the updates that he had and he's blown away that Nvidia
Yeah.
was able to do that. So
It is
because they
mind
never do
blowing,
that. Yeah, they
and
never do that.
it also makes you think, if this is gonna get better now, you feel more encouraged to invest on these GPUs, because now you can imagine 4 or 5 years from now or next generation, this might improve again and get even better. So it's basically they are improving the games using the power that these GPUs have. And I think Nvidia with this is fixing the games, is fixing what the developers cannot do. Is basically taking control and saying, okay, these games look blurry. No, we're gonna fix it. Boom. Now the games look great. Of course, this doesn't mean like games that used to look terrible are now perfect. They are still not looking as good as good looking games. Now, good looking games look absolutely incredible, and games that used to look terrible look much better, but still not great. But yeah, that's the thing with this generation. We got this upgrade, and it's absolutely amazing. But yeah, let's go over the comments to see what people are saying and
Yeah,
go from
let's do
there.
that.
Um, SD says, I never had an issue with my One Connect box, but I don't PC game. Uh, Thank you for sharing, man. Exactly. Most people buy cheaper TVs, not enthusiasts. $2,000 plus. That's to the comment with the S95F and 90C, 90F. Since the release of the 50 series, Serenity. So yeah, I mean, this stream, I ask you, hey, design the thumbnail, see what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
You title it, best combo PC and display. What was your idea with that? What do you want to?
So yeah, so it seemed like both our channels was very similar and in a lot of ways and then different in other ways too. Cause I know that when I watch your channel, you talk a lot about GPUs and gaming, especially on TVs. I talk a little bit about gaming. I could really dive into it, but I'm more into the TV realm area of tech and stuff. And I thought it would be a really good idea for the stream that we're doing to kind of talk about not only just like a PC setup for for the NVIDIA 5090 or just the whole 50 series in general, but also talk about what would be like the perfect TV that would utilize the latest
Okay,
graphics cards.
I
And that's why
wanted
I
to
think that would
ask
be a
you.
good topic.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. I was surprised with your review about the QM8
Mhm.
because you were not very happy with the gaming, with the way gaming looks. And I wanted to ask you because I've never tried um, on my home. I've never seen a mini LED for gaming. I've never tried that. And mini LEDs have more brightness. They have their own advantages. But the thing is, if they don't look the same for gaming, because with low input lag on game mode, the dimming zones and all processing is turned off, and so then they are completely irrelevant for gaming. Have you have you seen any mini LED TV that looks the same for gaming as regularly for just for movies and regular content?
Yeah, so let me kind of like frame this up a little bit better, so everyone kind of could understand why I was disappointed in the QMA gaming portion of it. So in my review specifically, TCL QMA is a mini LED TV, and just mini LED TVs just in general. I don't know what they're going to do for 2025. It may be completely different from what they did for 2024 and before. But with mini LED technology, especially when you engage in gaming game mode, some manufacturers would disengage the local dimming in their TVs to make sure to get lower input lag. Now,
Completely, like it's not even
yeah,
working.
it doesn't work.
Wow.
And by doing that, so there's pros and cons to that. The pros are is that yeah, you'll get a lot lower response rate, and you get, especially if you depending on the games that you're playing, if you're playing like let's just say Call of Duty, because everybody likes to talk about Call of Duty, you get great response rate, and especially when you're playing games like that when it comes to competitive gaming. But the issue with that, you don't get the best picture quality from the mini LED TVs. But if you do get local dimming engaged, but then you'll get a higher input, and then people will complain about, well, my input is a lot slower than what I thought it was going to be. So it's like it's no middle ground when it comes to mini LED. But when you look at OLED, on the other hand, you don't have that issue because it's instant response, especially with the technology and stuff, because it's transmissive when it comes to the technology. So you never have to have an issue when it comes to gaming side. But what mini LED TVs try to do is they try to compete with OLED. So they haven't come with a happy medium as of yet with the gaming portion. So you have TCL will disengage some of their local dimming, but Sony, on the other hand, won't disengage the local dimming. They did at a time on my X95K before they came out with a firmware update. They disengaged the local dimming altogether, so it looked like crap. It was terrible. You could see how terrible the picture was, but yeah, you have very low input lag. But then they fixed it, and now you have a little bit higher input lag compared to it was before. But I prefer that depending on the games that I was playing. I was just doing some casual game. I don't do anything competitively unless I'm like playing on my PC monitor, because that's a little bit of a different story. But those are kind of like the situations if you're thinking about buying a TV. Those are some of the things you have to take into consideration. Now, the QMA, some people like that look of it because some people just don't, when it comes to casual gamers, they don't care as long as they checking off the check boxes. I have 4K, 120 or 144 hertz, which was on the QM8, and 240 at, I think it was at 1440p or 1080p, depending on what if you have PC setup hooked up to it. So some people complain about it, some people didn't complain about it. The reason why I had to point that out is because I noticed that the games that I was playing were the picture quality wasn't great on most cases, and that's something that I just wanted to shout out for just for TCL. But Sony doesn't do it. Samsung was doing it at a time with their mini LED TVs, but they somehow find a happy medium ground where uh, the picture quality is not the best, but it's not something that people would complain about, and they got low input lag. So it's one of those type of things that
So let me ask. So you're
just call it
saying
out.
basically you're saying that Sony and Samsung, let's say the S9, the QN90 D, for example,
Mhm.
those that kind of TV, they still have the backlight, the mini LED, dimming zones. They're still working on game mode, but
Yeah,
not at the same level. No, they don't have the same. So you might have more blooming or crushing shadows or something like that in comparison with outside of game mode.
yes. Well, it with their algorithm, depending on if you're looking at Samsung does a better job than Sony when it comes to when it comes to their game mode. The picture quality is decent. I would say it's pretty good, but compared to Sony have a little bit better. Well, I would say Sony has a better picture quality in game mode compared to Samsung. But the issue with Sony is that you have a lot higher input lag compared to Samsung, and those are kind of like the things depending on the consumer, which TV you want to buy. Some people care about that, care about they want the picture quality instead of and the higher input lag. And then some people want a lower input lag and they don't care about sacrificing the picture quality just a little bit. But you start to notice it a lot when you start playing games and you comparing it to like other TVs. When you do a side by side, you look at that, and if look at it and you say, oh, that doesn't look quite right and stuff, and then you have to play with the picture settings, but it's still not getting the picture that you like. And that's where you start to notice that certain companies will disengage the local dimming just a tad bit, depending on their algorithm when it comes to their processing, when it comes to gaming part. But you don't notice it unless you have TVs side by side to each other to really do a true comparison. But if you have it by itself, most of the time you're not going to, I mean, an average person is not going to notice it. So,
But I am surprised. I've seen a lot of reviews from mini LEDs, and sometimes they don't mention that at all. Like I watched some reviews from the UX, the Hisense UX. That's like 100+ inch. It's like 10,000 nits, and wow, this is awesome. And they play games. They show you the games running, but they don't tell you. I don't know about that one. It might be perfect for gaming, but they don't tell you. Oh, for gaming, it doesn't look the same. It's not the same TV. And I think that is very, very important. If I watch a reviewer showing me a mini LED TV, I think I want to hear if for gaming it's a different TV, it's a completely different TV, because you're telling me how good it is, how many dimming zones, like how bright it is and colorful. And then if I want that for gaming, it's not the same. That's a big deal. It's like, for example, the QM8, if it doesn't have the dimming zones working for gaming, it's trash for gaming, in my opinion. It's not even close. It is not even a mini LED. At that point, you're just buying an LCD TV with terrible contrast. So I think that's a big deal.
you know what? I find it kind of interesting. I'm happy that you're talking about that. I think that's what's the challenging part when you do reviews on TVs, and it depends on the content creator that you watching that's doing the reviews, because I think whoever's doing the review on the TV, they have to pick and choose what they think is going to be important for their audience specifically. And some people, I would say more than likely, the audience are more catered towards content as in like movies, and you have a small percentage of people who are into gaming, which is sad to hear. But you notice that when you look at a lot of reviews and stuff, they'll just talk about gaming for just a tad bit, but they don't talk about it for a good scenario. You do have some content creators that would do some dedicated videos on that, but where you see like the big giant creators and stuff like that, they really don't focus too much on gaming, which I think they should be doing, especially because I love PC gaming myself. That's something that they need to talk about more, but they don't, for whatever reason, they just don't talk about it and stuff. So hopefully
Let's
in the
say hi
future they
to
do it.
let's say hi to Gaming Tech. How are you doing, man? You're taking a rest, or you're busy with work? It has been like 2 weeks since we have the regular live stream with Gaming Tech. So hopefully he makes a comeback.
Oh, he was putting out content like every single day, like ever
Yeah,
since
he's
like the
busy now.
PS5. Pro came out, I saw him was putting 3 or 4 videos like every single day. And I was like, man, he's probably just taking a little break right now. He's like, hold
Yeah.
on, let me take a
And
step back.
talking about breaks, what's up with KG? I saw he released a video like 5 days ago, but he was
Yeah.
quiet for a while.
Yeah, I think he's been busy and stuff. We message each other every now and then because we talk to each other on X all the time and stuff. But he's just been he's been busy and stuff like that. And it's just one of those type of things that, like I said, he's still around and stuff. He's
Okay.
gonna be making some content soon and stuff. I'm trying to get him on the stream, but yeah, the guy has just been like outside of content creation. He's just been busy with other stuff. So
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, well, that was my. I was surprised actually with your video because before watching your video with the QM8 for gaming, I watched a bunch of videos about the QM8, and I
Mhm.
thought, man, that TV it's very good. It's so bright and it's so impactful. I did see that it was, crushing blacks a little bit, but
A little bit.
I've never on any video, never, I don't remember anyone say that, yeah, but for gaming it's trash. It's not a mini LED TV. You cannot even use the backlight. It's just like an office monitor with a good, glossy coating. That's it.
Yeah,
Um,
people
I,
didn't like it, like my review.
no, I like it because that's what I wanted to see.
Well,
The thing
people
is,
no, I got a lot of hate for that I got a lot of hate from that review because I did the same thing for the Hisense. I think it was a UAH. I think it was a UA. Yeah, I think it was a UAH at the time or UHK. I gotta remember which one it was. But I didn't like the gaming on there either. And people were just saying like, "Well, you only paying this amount of money," and I was like, "But do you want me to be transparent? Do you want me to be honest and just say like?" Think it's not great, or do you want me to just go ahead and just sugarcoat it and just leave it as in like, oh, I think you should go ahead and buy the TV because it got these
no,
check
no,
marks
no.
as and what? No, you don't want that because you paying, even though it's a budget friendly TV, you still paying a lot of money for those TVs. And just the
Yeah.
thing is that I don't give any manufacturer any type of slack if you're a Sony, LG, Samsung, TCL, Hisense. It's like if I'm seeing something that looks strange or looks that could be better, I know they could easily fix it with a firmware update. It's just the thing is I understand what the reasoning why they did what they did is because they're trying to figure out a balance of I want to get low input lag for this TV, but we're gonna have to sacrifice the picture quality and stuff. So it's like the question is the consumers going to care about that, or would the consumers prefer having the best picture quality knowing that you're going to have a higher input lag? And those are kind of really hard questions to really engage with the consumer because you have polar opposite. You have one side of the consumer, especially like the PC realm, depending on the PC monitors and stuff like that. You have a lot of professional gamers who still play professional gaming on on 10 monitor, and they don't care about the quality of it long as you got that super low input lag. That's all they really care about and stuff. They want to make sure they're able to see their opponents and they're able to get from point A to point B and make sure that they don't have any type of lag whatsoever. But then you have the other realm of it where it's saying like, no, I need to have the best picture quality ever. I don't care about the input lag. So it's like for a manufacturer, it's really challenging to try to figure out what to do in that type of situation and stuff, especially with a mini LED TV. So it's kind of like,
But
uh.
for example, I am interested to see a review about the new, mini LED, RGB mini LED, trichroma thing, and 10,000 nits, better, colors than QD-OLED, higher color gamut and all of that. And I think it would be very misleading to make a review about that TV, show you over 10,000 nits, more colorful than a QD OLED, absolutely amazing contrast with with the backlighting, dimming. It is so good and this and that. And then for gaming, it supports 120 or 144 hertz, G-Sync and whatever. Yeah, but it doesn't look the same for gaming. You have to make that very clear. Or does it? Does it look the same? I want to know. I would love to try 10,000 nits. I want to see what the goal looks like. We need 10,000 nits to get the best HDR. I want to see that for gaming. But imagine I get that TV, and then when I turn on game mode, boom, it's trash. It's just LCD garbage. Nothing, not even close to what the reviews are talking about. So I think they have to make it very clear this is not for gaming. It looks like garbage for gaming. Now for movies, yeah, amazing. It's so important to communicate that.
They're never going to do that because manufacturers want to have a checkbox to say like, oh, we do 4K at 165 hertz. We have this HDMI ports. They never going to talk about that. And even reviewers too, especially depending on the type of reviews that they are, they may talk about gaming briefly, but they're never going to do like a deep dive, like kind of like what you do. And that's one. And I'm so glad that we're doing a stream together, because the reason why I love your channel so much is like, dude, you go so in depth with gaming, especially in the PC realm and even console gaming. You was just been talking about like the best picture settings, and especially when you was talking about the you still got the LG CX, right?
Yeah, I have the C1.
Yeah.
I have the C148.
Oh yeah, the C1. Okay. Yeah, C1 is like even going into the settings and giving the best picture settings. I mean, of course, it's your preference and stuff, and other people is up to other people who wants to do it. But you go so in depth with it, which is I never seen a lot of content creators do that, and that's something that I love seeing, because it's just like when I mentioned earlier, you have to pick and choose of what you really want to do your reviews on, because you want to make sure you satisfy everybody that watched the content when it comes to, depending on what type of review it is. And it's just like the QMA specifically, because we was talking about that. It was funny when we was talking about the crushing in black. I was talking about that like heavily, because I noticed when I was doing the comparison between the X95K, which is a 3-year-old TV now, and during the time I did the review, it was 2 years. I was like looking at certain content. I was like, I can't see nothing on this specific content, and it doesn't matter how much I try to brighten up the QM8. Once you try to brighten it at a certain extent, everything just get washed out, and it doesn't even help the shadows. And I was like, why is TCL doing this? And then I started to think about like, okay, this is going back to the pros and cons, as in when they develop their TVs, they're trying to figure out like, okay, what is going to entice the consumers to buy our TVs? We want to give them the best blacks, even though we're going to be crushing it, so we could suppress the blooming, or we could give them, better blacks, better shadow detail, but you're going to see more blooming. And those are kind of like the situations they think about, like, what's going to be best for us, as and so consumers can buy it. And people don't notice those black crush when they get the TV, because yet again, you're not comparing it with any other TVs. You're just going by, I just have this TV. I'm not comparing it with the other TVs that I have in the household. And those are kind of like the things I like to point out and stuff, because I'm like, hey, if you're buying this TV, FYI, it's great, but you will see some crushing when you watch a certain content. So if you're watching Game of Thrones, for instance, you're not going to see what the hell is going on in there. So
And I think that's a deal breaker. Shadow, the very beginning, from 0 to, when you started the grayscale up to like 100 nits, that's the most important part, because like we had Classy in one of our streams. He said HDR is code values, and he showed us, look, this is how much information we have up to 1000 nits. It is a lot. And then from 1000 nits and up, it's less and less and less. It becomes less and less and less, because the way we perceive the brightness changes. It's in a logarithmic way. So the most important thing is from 0 to 1,000 nits. So, and even way before that. So a TV that's crushing blacks, that's huge. That's not a minor problem. That's a gigantic problem. I would definitely prioritize to show the shadow detail. And if it has blooming, then the technology sucks. That's the, I think, in my opinion, the only reason why we keep working on LCD technology is because it's cheap and it makes them money. But it's like putting makeup on something that doesn't look good, and they're trying to always, you know, innovate solutions to make it work. It's like, no, we have to make it work because it's so cheap and we make so much money. It's a bad technology. So when I hear, oh, QD-OLED is dead, we're just gonna go now with this trichroma mini LED and stuff, I'm like, okay, how is that gonna look for gaming? Because if it doesn't look the same, then it's irrelevant. It's just an LCD TV with terrible contrast.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, you have to. I know it's going to be controversial for me to say you got to follow the money, and so just like what you mentioned before, it's cheaper for them for manufacturers to make, unless you're like LG or Samsung, because it's like LG is like our bread and butter is OLED TV. We invested so much billions and billions of dollars into this technology. We're not gonna just let it die out and stuff. And then same thing with Samsung is like, well, Samsung is a little bit different because they're starting to switch their whole model, as in, their technology. They do LCD, QD OLED, WRGB OLED and stuff. And they going into a little bit different direction, which is I find it kind of interesting. But going back to the QD OLED technology, and people are saying that it's dead, you just don't have the mass adoption with other manufacturers because I don't know. I think LG probably made it enticing for the other manufacturers to go with their technology because it might be cheaper, which I don't know. I don't know if it is or isn't. I'm just speculating at this point. But going back to the mini LED part, yeah, it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper for like TCL and Hisense, and even Samsung and Sony to kind of like outsource to TCL to make their panels and stuff like that. So it's easier for them to just to sell it for whatever amount they want and stuff. So
Let's go and read some of the comments here. SD says, I think Samsung has a much better picture in game mode than the A95L because it is so much brighter and pops way more in that specific mode. The only thing, the other thing I wanted to comment with you, because I see you like Sony, and Sony is, the reference. They have the reference monitor. They have so much history. It is definitely one of the most important brands when it comes to the TV thing. But there's one thing about the Sony TVs, especially the QD-OLED, basically the A95L. That's a deal breaker for gaming. And I know some reviewers say this is not even a gaming TV. You can use it for gaming. It's great because it's QD-OLED. But the thing is, it has dimming that you cannot turn off, like the ASBL dimming. So when you have logos in the game, it's gonna start dimming. I've seen comparisons side by side with the A95L and other Samsung TV that you can turn that off, and the dimming is a problem. It becomes a problem, and I don't like that Sony doesn't let you turn that off. And in general, the sentiment that I've get from people who actually um, you know not criticize the TV, like actually point out the negative things, is that they don't feel like it is giving them that pop, like SD is saying here. It's not letting it, that you feel like Sony is like holding it back, like, no, don't don't let it blast all the brightness and colorfulness for some reason. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. And the other thing I don't like about Sony is the price, man. I think you've mentioned that you like the Bravia 9, but at the time I purchased my Samsung TVs, the Bravia 9 was more than double. So I basically bought two 65-inch QD OLEDs for less than the price of a single Bravia 9 65-inch. That's crazy. So I think that in Sony, they don't lower the price. You don't see a price drop of like $500 like ever. It's like they stay high, and I think it makes no sense, especially with the competition now with TCL and Hisense and all these um other options we have.
Yeah, I want to say that I 100% agree with everything that you just said about Sony. And I talked about Sony too. And I have Sony TVs and I like Sony TVs. Um, but it comes down to the preference. I will say that. And let's talk about the gaming part first. I think Sony gaming is just okay. I think it could be a lot better, especially when it comes to Samsung and LG specifically, because I think LG does a way better job when it comes in the gaming arena. Well, I would say LG and Samsung are almost neck and neck when it comes to gaming features wise. So I want to say like LG like surpasses Samsung like miles on in, but they're very close to each other. But but with Sony on that same spectrum, they just do okay. I give them around like a C range compared to like LG and Samsung will get like close to A when it comes to features and input lag and all the gaming features on there. I'm so disappointed in Sony in regards to that is because they got PlayStation, and I don't know why they don't want to tap into that resource when it comes to development and technology wise to utilize a lot of those features. Yeah, they got the gaming picture that when you connect your PS5 to it, that it optimizes the picture, even though it doesn't work well with it. And yeah, it got some other features that it's just okay and stuff. But compared to the other competitors, I think it's unacceptable for Sony to be just okay in the gaming area, especially when they charging the price that they charging. Going to where you were talking about the pricing part, and when you compare that to other manufacturers, Sony does a really good job with their processing, but it doesn't warrant the price that it's selling the TVs for. So I'm 100% with you. I hope that Sony will start addressing that a little bit more. They have gotten better last year compared to a couple years ago. And I'm saying a couple years ago is because when you looked at Sony A90J or A9F, like in 2019, 2020, they was charging like $5,000 for the OLED TVs, and that was for a 65 inch and stuff at that time.
That's
And
great.
and, and people were just like
Yeah, yeah,
blown away because you looked at the LG, and I think it was like the LG, it was either the C1 or the LG C I forgot what year. I think it was C1 if I wasn't mistaken. It was half the price of what Sony was charging theirs. And LG at the time were LG and I think Samsung at the time were the only manufacturers that was doing HDMI 2.1 in all their ports. And Sony didn't even have HDMI 2.1. They only had HDMI 2.0 where it was just 60 hertz and it was charging like close to $5,000 for their TVs. And so those are kind of like the things that it was a backhanded slap to a lot of consumers. And just going back to the gaming portion of it, it's just they didn't care and stuff because they figured that hey, we're Sony, we got our name, and we just really just care about the picture instead of just cater towards the gaming area, which
I
is
would.
was a huge mistake.
Yeah, I would love to have a conversation with Brian's tech therapy had an interview with one of the Sony representatives.
Hmm.
I would love to have a chat with him because, and I'm sure they know, but maybe they are not aware of their potential to attract gamers. Because I tested an old Sony TV. It
Hmm.
was the forgot the model 805A, like KDLs. I forgot. I have a video about it on the
Hmm.
channel, and it had this 480x motion flow or something like that. I forgot the name of the feature, that was basically to improve motion. It is like flickering to improve motion. Absolutely amazing feature. And I know they can do that, and they can do that better now. And it will be so much better with a Bravia 9, with a caliber of TV that's a lot brighter. Basically, this TV I tested, it was only 1080p, okay? But the motion clarity at 60 FPS for gaming, so with low input lag, it was like a CRT. Literally, if you move the camera, it was like a CRT. It was 3 times better than my LG C1 at 120 FPS with OLED Motion Pro High. So the C1 with the legendary BFI, which is great, is fantastic. Well, this Sony TV at 60 FPS was 3 times better. How can Sony don't see that as, I mean, how can the Bravia 9 don't have that feature? It is a no-brainer. It will be amazing for gamers. It will be basically one of the biggest selling points. And it is not only like offer that at 60 FPS. No, of course not. Make it better. Offer it at 60, 70, 80, 90. So you have different targets to get better input lag, less flickering. Because flickering perception depends on the person. So some people might need it higher FPS with that technology to not see the flickering. So offer that. I focus on that. Tweak that so it looks as bright as possible. Make it with a least amount of input lag. Even try to see if it is possible to do the local dimming with that feature at the same time, so you get better contrast. So focus on the things that they have. Also 3D. That old TV had 3D, and it had a setting to simulate 3D with passive glasses. And I tested that for gaming. It was amazing. Yes, you cut the resolution in half, but even from 1080p, you cut the resolution in half. It was still amazing because the things were popping out of the screen. So I was playing the games. I'm like, this is insane. It's like I'm playing a VR or something. The games are looking amazing. So why Sony having those technologies and now potentially doing them even better? How can they just don't think it's a good idea to offer that? If they are demanding the premium price, offer the premium features, offer things that other companies don't have, and that would make it worthwhile. So I would love to have a conversation with that Sony representative. The other thing is, let people have more power over, releasing more brightness and turning off dimming and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm for me, Sony is like very frustrating because they could be the absolute best, no questions asked, and they just don't come even close to that.
Yeah, I think everyone's been talking about Sony gaming been lacking for a long time, and I think it really comes down to to the people who do buy those TVs, because depending on the buyer, most of the time they're just casual gamers, and I hate to say this, but I would say casual gamers where they really don't care about the features that much. And I think Sony has a priority list as in trying to figure out what they need to work on compared to other features that they want to release. And I think their main priority is picture quality. And they don't care what other people say about the gaming part to a certain extent, but their main focus is that we make sure we're providing the best picture quality as possible, even though we're going to be sacrificing the gaming side and the gaming features and stuff. I don't know what they're going to do for this year. They may change their tune. They have been, I will say Sony has been getting better in the last couple of years, because when the X95K came out, they didn't even have a gaming bar for, or a game menu for it. They had a game setting, which all Sony TVs had, But for the longest time, I kept on every time I did a review on the Sony TV, I was like, Sony, you need to come up with some type of game bar, game menu, or something like that, just like how LG had it since I don't know 2018 or whenever they had it started doing the same thing with Samsung. Samsung had it for the longest time. You had TCL and Hisense even came out with their own game bar that was before Sony. I was like, come on, Sony, what the hell is taking you guys so long? Why you guys don't have 4K 120? Why you guys don't have black frame insertion in some of these features and stuff? I've been talking about it for the longest time. Then all of a sudden, like in 2022 and 23, that's when they started slowly releasing these features and stuff like that. So it's just, I think Sony is just are always in the background trying to observe how other people monitor their TVs like the LG and Samsung. And I think Sony just wanted to make sure before they release something that it works properly and stuff. I don't know why Sony is like that, but they always been like that.
My other criticism would be I've never tested a Sony TV. I would like to do it one day. But my other criticism is even outside gaming, their tone mapping, their HDR tone mapping is not the best. It's actually terrible based on the information that I've been given, the things that I've heard. The HDR tone mapping on the Sony is not good at all. The reason is it is like a weird dynamic tone mapping that never supposedly never clips, and it's like it's not HGIG basically. It's not like a reference monitor, and it should be. Because Sony is proud, they're proud themselves of the accuracy and being the closest to the reference monitor. And I see them winning the TV shootout and all of that when they have absolutely terrible tone mapping, HDR tone mapping. So the best is not having tone mapping at all. I understand when the content goes brighter than the capabilities of the TV, you have to do tone mapping. That's perfectly fine. But there has to be an option that is like a reference monitor, where the TV follows the EOTF and hard clips at its actual maximum peak brightness. That is ideal. And Sony knows that. They do the reference monitor. So I do understand they do this to, so basically all content looks okay, or most of the content looks okay, and you don't get a lot of, get clipping and all that stuff. But I think they should do a lot better with the tone mapping. LG does the best. LG has HGIG. LG has different targets to do tone mapping. 400, 540, 700, 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 10,000 nits. LG has all these tone mapping targets saved, and it auto detects what needs to be. Sony doesn't do that, and that's very disappointing. Like, what accuracy are we talking about? If you have a messed up tone mapping, you have dimming, and then but to begin with, if you have dimming, there's no accuracy. Like, what are we talking about? So I don't understand, honestly. I really do not understand how Sony wins the shootout with broken tone mapping. Basically,
I think
it goes beyond my comprehension.
Well, I think it comes down to the content. That's why I think why Sony is winning a lot of the shootouts, and then also to your point, I get that LG with their tone mapping, they do a good job on paper. I want to say on paper when it comes to testing. However, when it comes to real world content, that's where I think a lot of people will start to see like, hey, even though LG does this on paper, but actually looking at the actual content, well, I'm not talking about gaming at all. I'm talking about just watching like movies or demos or something like that. That's where you can see that Sony is ahead, and even Samsung the QD-OLED when it comes to the S95D last year at the Value Electronics Shootout in the A95L. You can see if you look at the scoring, Samsung and Sony was neck and neck when it comes to the ratings part, and LG was number 3. Even though LG did perfectly when it comes to the calibration portion of it, where they hit all those check marks, but when it comes to real world content where we actually viewing and watching stuff, that's kind of like a different animal on its own, and that's where I kind of like say, I, I
And
don't know.
let me offer an explanation to back up the reason why I'm saying that Sony tone mapping is not great. Uh, this is the information I've got basically. The
Hmm.
Sony has a 4,000 nits, target, let's say. But if you set up, let's say, your games, or if you have a content that is 4,000 nits, it's gonna look kind of blown out. So,
Hmm.
for example, for gaming, if you are using your HDR system level calibration on the PS5 or the Xbox, and you follow the instructions, which is increase the brightness until the logo disappears, which is what we do for gaming. No, that's a clipping point. If you follow that instruction, it's going to look blown out.
Hmm.
So you need to know how many clicks on your PS5 or Xbox or on the PC, the HDR calibration app. You need to know how many clicks are, I think it's 1750, 1750 nits. And you have to set it there. So
Hmm.
the logo is not clipping there. You have to just leave it there. Otherwise, it's going to look blown out. So who knows that?
Yeah.
So then people think, oh, Sony, most accurate, the king of TVs. You take it home, you turn on your PS5, follow the system
Oh
level
no.
calibration, it looks blown out.
Yeah.
Messed up tone mapping. So, like, how? So how do they have that problem? I understand the reason why is they might be trying to make, movie content, like content you watch on Netflix and all that stuff, look good. And let me tell you, I did something similar with my S9DC. I
Hmm.
went into the service menu and completely changed all the settings. So Netflix content always looks, impressive. Basically, I want everything to look impressive, bright. There's some movies that don't look very bright. So basically, what I did, this might not make sense for people who have not, mess around with the service menu, all that stuff. But basically, what I did was I use a contrast enhancer. When you do that, it's a big problem. You're crushing blacks and you're clipping the whites. So to solve that, I increase the shadow detail. I max out the shadow detail to get the visibility near black back. The blacks are not raised. I still have perfect blacks. I have more visibility near black. And to
Hmm.
fix the clipping, what I did was go into the service menu and max out the EOTF tracking settings to basically under track the EOTF. So when you use contrast enhancer, you go back to more like a dynamic tone mapping. So basically, what I tried to do was what LG does with dynamic tone mapping.
Hmm.
That's what I did. Try to replicate the dynamic tone mapping of the LG TV. So all content looks bright. You can see near black, and it looks as I think it should look. Because some of these movies on Netflix are very, pale. They're dim.
Hmm.
They are not impressive. So I'm like, and they're kind of very dark. You struggle to see on the darkness. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I have my family watching a movie, and I realize, oh, this crushing blacks, and then I have to go to the settings, and so they don't want me to change settings. So I need like a global solution that works for everything, and that's what I ended up doing. Um,
No, no, I definitely
so yeah,
understand that. No, I agree with you with that. I just think that going back to kind of like the value of electronics and the reason why Sony kind of like won, well, Sony did win the shootout and then Samsung. I think when it comes to reference and when it comes to director's intent and stuff, that's where Samsung, well, not Samsung and Sony were closer when it comes to that, even though people don't really prefer it in person because everybody has their own liking when it comes to picture settings. But it just is a mixed bag as in like for the consumer, because going back to the LG part, yeah, LG has way more capability when it comes to their settings, and Samsung, especially when you go into the service menu, you get to tweak here and there. And Sony, you do have that capability, but unless you're like a professional calibrator, that's something that you have to tinker yourself, or have them tinker for you to get the best settings that is your preference, your preferred preference. So it's just going back to Sony. I don't know why Sony does what it does,
Yeah, like
especially when it comes to their pricing and their gaming features. I don't know. I keep talking about that for the longer, because like my other issue too is not on top of just gaming part, but it's just the thing is that they only have two HDMI 2.1s, which I talked about that in my reviews as well too, which been driving me bonkers. Yeah, I get that they use the MediaTek chip, which TCL and Hisense and Panasonic use the same chip as well too. Um, but my issue with Sony more specifically is that I have to constantly go into the damn settings and toggle between if I want to do gaming with VRR, or if I want to do Dolby Vision and stuff like that, depending if I want to switch from gaming console to streaming content, streaming devices, or looking at my Blu-ray player. And it's just like it gets so cumbersome and I get so heated about it. And I think more people are starting to talk about it a little bit more, but I keep talking about it in those type of reviews is because you paying this astronomical price. Because I think the A95L, the 77-inch, I think is going around 4,800. I have to look at the price again at Best Buy. But it's kind of like you charging this premium for this QD-OLED TV. Granted, it's a really good TV, but yet you don't have all the great features for gaming. And then also too, you have HDMI 2.1. It's only in 2 ports. And then you have to go and tinker with the settings where you have to toggle between one or the other. If you have like Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5 and the PC, and then if you don't have an AV receiver, it's kind of like then you have to constantly have to get a switcher. It's just like one of those type of things that you just get pissed off because it's like you're paying all this money and you don't get all the stuff in all that stuff. But then when you go to LG and Samsung, you don't have to go through that issue. You
no, yeah,
just
they have
that's
their
it.
own issues too, man. And,
Yeah.
this is not me trying to, destroy Sony or nothing like that. I
Oh
would
no, no,
love,
no! I know you're not, but I'm just going back to Sony and stuff like that. Those are kind of like the things that drives me nuts because they charging this price, but yet they could just do so much better.
yeah, I think they can do a lot better. I would love to try a Sony TV.
Yeah.
And I am not a TV. I don't think I'm a reviewer. I'm getting my first review product this Monday, and I might, become a reviewer in the future if I start getting products.
Mm-hmm.
But what I focus on is to share all my experience with the product. So I'm not planning to do one video, like one review. I'm going to test that monitor, like every single detail, like absolutely everything. I'm gonna make 100 videos about that monitor. So basically, they ask me, we just need 2 videos, um, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do 100. So it's like because I cannot really understand everything, all the settings, and find all the issues unless I am actually using it in long term, and I am, messing with it and going up and down on the settings and trying all the games because that's where I find the stuff. And I'm not an expert. I tell you what I see. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have instruments to measure, but I can compare it with my other displays and tell you what I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I focus on. But yeah, for example, Panasonic. Now that you mentioned the two HDMI 2.1, I was disappointed to realize that the new Panasonic, I think it's the Z95B, this
Mm-hmm.
new 4-stack WRGB OLED, is 144 hertz. It is not 165 like the G5, and it's because of that older um chip that they are using. And that is so sad, man, because that Panasonic is probably going to be fantastic. It looks like it has a fantastic build quality, active cooling. It looks super premium. The audio seems to be like absolutely amazing. So it's like, man, you cannot, I mean, if you can get it up to 165, you have to do whatever it takes. But it's like, why? Like it basically makes no sense, in my opinion, to go with a Panasonic versus the G5, especially for gaming, because you're not getting the latest 165 hertz. You're still at 144. So it's like you cannot miss that. Like, it's so important because it's gonna be more expensive than the G5, you bet. And it probably is not gonna go. It's not gonna lower the
Well,
price that much.
you know what? I'm not even sure what they're gonna price the Z95 be.
Well,
I don't know. I don't
the
know if it's
previous
gonna be pricier.
generation,
Yeah.
the previous generation in comparison with the G4, it was a lot more expensive than the G4.
Yeah, it was. And then the UI, and then the other issue too was the UI. I don't like Amazon. I don't like how they use the Amazon UI, and that thing was super laggy. Uh, I don't know why Panasonic did that. I think it comes down to cutting costs, and it's going back to the Sony realm and stuff because Panasonic is saying like, I think we could get away or skeet around this year with just doing 144 hertz, but
But
we're gonna get people to look at the picture quality.
yeah, but if you start cutting cost, you're not premium. So that, but you cannot charge a premium. If you're charging the premium, if you're the most expensive, you cannot cut any cost. See, if that's the reason, that's very wrong. It's
Yeah.
like, it just doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna be the best, you're investing at active cooling. I love that. That's awesome. I want TVs with active cooling and more
Mhm.
power. I want a TV that's back to 500 watts plus, like plasmas used to
Oh,
be,
that's never gonna happen.
but that would mean more brightness. That
Oh
would
yeah.
mean less ABL, better picture quality.
Yeah.
We need that. Why not? I mean, a 5090 600 watts
Well, you
plus the rest of the PC components. Why can't we have a $4,000 TV that's 500 watts plus? Are we
you could
trying to
blame
save the planet with a $5,000
well,
TV?
you could blame the EU for their regulations for that. That's why they did that.
It's so wrong in my opinion. I mean,
Because you remember
and why?
last year, that was the reason why they did that. Because EU, yeah, it was 2000. No, it was the year before that. It was 2023. And I think SD remembers this too, and I think he's still in the chat. They came out the EU came out with a energy efficient regulations where you can't be at this certain wattage, and TV manufacturers were everybody in the forums was sweating bricks because they was talking about this is going to mess up my brightness, this is going to mess up other features of the TV and stuff. And so what the manufacturers did to go around that is that by default the EU specifically, not in North America, but what they did was they defaulted the settings to put energy saving mode on there, and then for the US you have the option to click it on or off and stuff like that. So to go back to your question about the whole 500 watts, I don't think they will ever do that just because of the regulation and stuff. So I don't know.
But I don't know. But I don't know about that too much. I saw it one time, but I don't. I didn't get into it. So then, why we have other products that don't have that issue? I mean, why like Nvidia can do a 600 watts CPU? Why we cannot have a 600 watts TV?
I think it comes down to the type of law because this is more specifically it was pinpointing on TVs. And and like I said, I can't I don't remember it verbatim because this has been a couple years back, but they was attacking like more specifically not just TVs, but electronics that use high wattages. And the GPUs, the only reason that they didn't attack the GPUs because it depends on how you make, how you do a PC build. You could do it this way, you could do it that way. But when you have other manufacturers like a TV or a gaming console or something like that, they have a default wattage that they have to abide by. And that's where Europe specifically was trying to regulate that as in saying like, no, you only could use this much wattage because we're trying to, you know, be more energy efficient, save the environment, and so we want you to regulate that as well too. It's just like the same thing with that, because I have an iPhone and stuff. They wanted to make sure that all new Apple iPhones use the same USB-C and stuff. It's because it came from European regulations, because they felt like Apple shouldn't use their own proprietary charging system, because they felt that it was anti-consumer and stuff. And so now Apple had no choice but to change their own proprietary charging system to put USB-C on all their devices going forward. So it's just the thing is that,
but the thing is,
I'm not trying to blame Europe, but yeah, it was because of European regulations for it.
but the thing is, save the planet with a $2,000 TV doesn't make any sense. Most people don't buy a $2,000 TV. Most people, the majority, have very cheap TVs. You can have the regulations for those for the majority, but when we're talking about the best of the best, that's just nonsense. Like, it's not gonna make any difference if people have 5090s and $3,000 and $5,000 TVs. That doesn't make any difference because most people don't have that. That's not for the majority. So to save the planet with a $3,000 TV, that's just nonsense. It's like
I'm laughing because the comments are saying it.
Yeah. So yeah, let me highlight this super chat. Well, thank you very much, Ordak, for the support. Plasma in the details. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't want to. I never want to come across as a I'm not an expert. I'm someone like you, and I have a voice in the space, and the more popular we get, the louder we become with our voice. And
I want that.
I want to use, I absolutely love to have this YouTube channel because I believe that we can contribute, even if it's just a little bit, to change things in the direction that we want as enthusiasts. So that's why I speak like this. Because you might think, oh, you don't know the regulation. Why are you complaining about it? You're right. But whatever the regulation is, it sucks because, I mean, the G5, for example, when I'm looking at the new technology that they have and stuff, they show you, oh, it is more efficient now. So we lower the power and it's still brighter. And I'm like, yes, that sounds good. It's brighter and it's more efficient. But why are you gonna lower the power? Keep the power the same and make it even brighter. See, like, why? If it's more efficient, that's awesome. That's fantastic. That allows you to make it brighter. Do it. Like, don't hold back. So they keep holding back the power as much as they can, and that makes the TVs worse. They have more ABL because of that and less brightness. So yeah, that's why I'm hammering on that, because I think it just doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree with you. I want them to fully utilize everything that the TV is supposed to do. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and CJ here brings a good point.
Yeah.
That the big issue is not the power consumption. It's that people throwing away $500 TVs every other year.
Yeah, and that's where I was just going to say and just add to it is that, and that's another reason, like, I'm glad we're doing the stream together, is that you ask those questions, why this and why that, and I love that you do that, is because you have some other reviewers and stuff like that. They talk to, do interviews and so forth, and they really conscious of, some of the questions that they want to ask. But it's like, if you get those type of answers, it really will start to understanding, like, okay, well, why are you guys doing this and stuff, and people like myself and you, and we talking about it right now, and even people who are watching the stream right now, they feel the same way, and those are kind of like things I would like to get answers to as well too. I don't have the answer for it, but
Yeah.
I suspect that it's a lot to do with some of the EU laws, because it's kind of funny. Every time they do an announcement, a new TV announcement, they always talk about like, oh, now we're saving 20% and
Yeah.
energy being more energy. They always
Exactly.
talk about that. They always
Yes.
talk about that. For
Like if
me,
it
it's
was
like,
something good, like if it look and now we're more efficient, like no, I don't want that.
I feel the same way too. It's like I'm paying $3,000, $5,000 for this TV. He's like, I really don't care about this, but it's just me. But you have other people that actually really concerned about that. I don't know who those people are, but it's like for me, I don't care about that.
Yeah, let me address this comment. So what? Because you Americans have more money, you can spend even more on our planet. Well, here's the thing. My point is, it's irrelevant. So let's exaggerate the situation so it makes more sense. A micro LED TV is 500 watts plus, depending on the size, of course, but the big ones they do use more power. Do you think it makes any sense to regulate that and say no? No, that's too much power. We need to save the planet. That micro LED TV cost $100,000. Like, how many people are gonna use that? That doesn't make any difference. No impact on the planet whatsoever. Actually, I would argue, if these companies give you the best they can actually deliver, it would save the planet more, because you probably never buy another TV in your life.
Mhm.
Imagine we get a QD OLED that is 600 nits. Let's be conservative. They said on CES the new Samsung QD OLED panel is 440 nits maximum. You're not going to get that on the S95F, because they restrict the power. They restrict the capabilities. Okay, maybe if you go to the service menu, you can get that brightness. But let's say you get a QD OLED that's 440 nits full screen, and it reaches almost 4,000 nits peak brightness. You don't need another TV in your life. I mean, if they give you that, that's it. That's a wrap. Like, why would you buy anything else? That's just gonna be absolutely mind blowing. So give me that with a glossy finish. Remove the matte finish. You know, don't give me a broken audio that the S95C audio was completely broken. I guess the S95F is the same, because the problem is the design with the build quality. The back of the TV rattles like. So basically, what I'm saying right now is, if they actually push the TV to the maximum, push the panel to the
Mhm.
maximum, give you all the power, you are probably going to you're not going to upgrade probably like in 6 years or something like that. So there's less waste. I think we would actually save the planet. Or let's go to the extreme. Let's go, mini LED TV that's 10,000 nits, big brightness. It's like, I don't know, 1,500 nits full screen, something like that. That would be insane. But we need more power for that. Give it to me, and I don't buy another TV. I'm just gonna buy that one, and 10 years from now I'll get something better. You see, if you look at it that way, you're actually saving the planet more. I think that makes more sense. So I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I was kind of like looking up some information. No, no, I agree. It's interesting that I don't know how this whole EU law came into, because I think we was just talking about the wattage and so forth. But I remember this topic very vividly in this was this happened in 2023, and the reason why I remember it so clearly is because uh they was just announcing their TVs, and I was talking to somebody in the comments, and SD was one of them too. And I'm giving him a shout out. And I say SD a lot because me and him, we talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to TVs and stuff like that. And he was just talking about, say, yeah, is that it's going to nerf a lot of the TVs that's going to be coming out going forward. And I just kept thinking to myself, I said, I don't know why manufacturers are going to do this, but they have to do it because it's a regulation. But I think the way that they're getting around it now is that they have a setting now. It's an energy efficient setting, as in like, hey, do you want to conserve energy for your TV if you do just low energy efficient mode, or you could just toggle on and off. And I think for the EU TVs, I don't think they have that option, but I know in North America here, we have that option where we could just take off the energy efficient mode off. But going back to your point about we need to have more wattage to give us the best peak brightness, I think with TV manufacturer, they're trying to not only satisfy one region, but they're trying to satisfy all the regions based on their laws and stuff. And I think that's what's the biggest issue with that. So I don't know and stuff. I'm just hypothesizing when it comes to this and stuff. So I'm not 100% sure if that's even accurate, but I suspect that's what's going on, especially when it comes to these TV manufacturers. So they always have to throw in, oh, this TV is more efficient now, is because they're trying to satisfy the regulations and stuff. So
Yeah. And the other thing is, all these companies, it is so strange how they deliver the same performance with completely different technologies. It is like they they are in communication with each other and they reach an agreement. Okay, this year, this is how much brighter they're gonna be. It's gonna be 165. You're not allowed to do 200 or 240 because it's like they are in agreement with each other, so they don't give you their best. In my opinion, these companies are definitely not offering the best they could offer intentionally. That sounds crazy to say. Like, why would you, like, if you can, it's like thinking, oh, Nvidia, why would they not give you the best? It doesn't make any sense. You try to offer the best, so you get more people buying your product and stuff. It doesn't make any sense that completely different technologies perform exactly the same brightness, 165 hertz exactly. So there's something weird going on. There's like a conspiracy behind what I'm talking about.
it's funny. I talked about that last week. I thought it was interesting that we had QD-OLED and we had LG with their tandem or the 4 layers stack approach on a WRGB OLED TV that's doing the same exact brightness, which is mind blowing to me. I'm like, why is each technology that are different from each other doing or competing with the same brightness? But yet, when you look at TCL and Hisense, they're kind of like on different realms. You got Hisense doing 10,000 nits, and then you got TCL that's like in the middle between 5,000 or whatever they want to
Yeah, but
do.
it is a
Nit
different.
brightness.
It is completely. I mean, it's LCD based. We
Yeah,
understand that
yeah.
because it's just completely different. But yeah, there's something weird going on with that, and I cannot wait to see TVs that are actually 200, 240, 500 hertz. We're gonna have a monitor with the latest QD-OLED panel, a 27-inch monitor that's gonna be 500 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to get that monitor for review to test that. I think that would be just absolutely insane. I
Is
cannot
that the
wait.
MSI? Is that the MSI 4K? Or is that the
So
Samsung one? I'm trying to remember because I remember seeing that at the CES.
I
As
think it was
people,
Samsung, but
yeah,
I'm
I
not
think you're
sure.
right.
But I think
I
it
think you're
was
right.
Samsung with the 500 hertz. But the panel itself, you will have MSI, will have Asus with the same
Mhm.
panel pushing the. I mean, we will have all the companies using that same panel.
That's
I
gonna be
predict.
insane. That's gonna
That's
be
gonna be
insane.
amazing. So
That's
why
gonna be
why can't
insane.
we have a TV like that? At least 240 hertz, or like maybe they don't do it because for regular TV watching you don't need that.
No,
But
no, they want to make sure
gamers,
they buy the TV for next year and stuff. They don't want you to hold that
yeah.
TV for 10 years.
But they already know that gamers are buying these TVs, and
Mm.
you know what I'm thinking. I'm afraid of. I'm gonna get this monitor, 360 hertz. I'm going to love the motion and the responsiveness of that monitor. And then I'm gonna be like, man, but the screen size, I would love to have that in 65-inch. So then I have to decide, do I want the immersion with a big TV, or do I want the best performance and fluidity with a monitor? Why I can't have both? You know, it's like I think it would be possible. Why can't they just offer a 240 hertz TV right now? We have 240 hertz 4K monitors. Why can't we have a bigger size with that?
I think
So
it could be the processor too, because yeah, when it comes to monitors, I think it's so dedicated to that specific area when it comes to gaming
I don't
specifically
think
compared
so
to
because
TV.
the
Okay.
resolution is the same. The size wouldn't. I don't think the size would matter for more processing. I don't
Well,
think so. Maybe
I
I'm
think
missing something.
the TV, but the TVs do a little bit different processing when it comes to picture, not picture wise. I should take that back. I'm talking about more on like on the TV aspect, like the OS system and stuff like that, streaming services, the internal
Well, but
apps
for
compared
that,
to.
they don't need 240 hertz. For that, just
Mm,
have it less than that.
I'm guessing, and I'm
Yeah,
speculating and stuff like that. So,
and I was thinking, especially Samsung, if they have a TV that's 240 hertz, they could step up their Game Motion Plus, the interpolation for gaming. They could step that up and make it work at 60, at 120, do 4x the motion, 3x with less
mm,
artifacts. So they could offer more options for Game Motion Plus. It would be amazing for
oh
console
yeah,
gaming, especially. So imagine you have a console, you're getting 60 FPS, but your TV is delivering 240 for you. So you have the PC experience on a console. It's like that's your
yeah,
frame generation basically. So
oh
that
yeah,
would be so awesome if Samsung would do something like that.
yeah.
But yeah,
It
I
would
guess
be
we're gonna
nice.
have to
Yeah,
wait.
we had to wait and see. And it's funny that you were just talking about the features and the resolution and the frame. One thing I don't know why it just came up in my head because I think I'm looking at the comments as well too. It kind of made me think about it. This is going back to the QMA gaming side too. When I was talking about the gaming part is not great because picture quality and then I felt it was washed out. But another thing that I hope they start to address, and it's all manufactured as well too, is banding as well when it comes to HDR banding, color banding. When it comes to gradation, I've been noticing too. Depending on it's not every single manufacturer, but you start to notice when you're playing gaming that you see a separation, especially when you look at the sky, that you see different
Yes,
color. And
yes.
I hope they start to address that a little bit better. I think they've been getting better with that
Well, props to
last year.
Sony on that one. Let me give it
Yeah.
to Sony. They do have the smooth gradation for gaming. They do offer that feature for gaming, and I think they are the only ones who do that. That's great.
I
So
think
thank you very
LG
much,
did
Sony.
well, I think Samsung did a good job with that. I think the S95C, the TV that you have and you had the
Mhm.
S95C and the S90C.
Yeah.
I think they did I think they did a really good job too with the
So,
banding part
but the
when it
thing
comes to
is, the
gaming.
QD-OLED as natively, they do not need that extra processing. Natively, it has less color banding. The difference is huge between WRGB OLED and QD OLED when it comes to the gradation of colors.
Mhm,
Is gigantic. Like I tested a color banding test pattern, and I put
mhm,
my LG C1 side by side with the S95C, and I was shocked. The S95C
mm,
was looking perfect, no banding whatsoever. This video test was designed to show that difference. So it is not like a messed up material that has color banding because the source is bad. No, this is a clean source that should not have that color banding. So the C1, terrible color banding, like so obvious. The S95C, absolutely perfect. And of
mm,
course, the S90C, S90D, exactly the same. It's just the technology, like no
mhm,
processing
mhm,
required. Now you might still see some color banding if the source is all messed up. So
mm,
Sony, on top of that, with the A95L, they do have a smooth gradation that you can turn on for gaming,
yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, that was like the other issue I had with the QMA too was the color banding too, and that was kind of like another thing that distracted me most. And I think a lot of people don't look at that because they when It depends on the consumer, but I noticed that immediately too. And Hisense was known for that on the UAH. I didn't review the last year model, but when it comes to the gradation and even in movie content was better. But I know in gaming specifically, that was one thing that's distracted the hell out of me, especially when I was playing like I think I was playing Black Myth Wukong or something like that, or I was playing Astrobot, or any other game. I noticed that, especially with color banding, where I was like looking at the sky and I was like doing my own thing in the game. I was like, what the hell is this? And that's one thing I kind of like noticed that I want them to do a better job in when it comes to the picture quality, when it comes to gaming for TCL specifically and stuff. I just know that Samsung, when I had the S95C, they did a really good job when the color banding. That's one thing that I kind of wanted to point out too, because people always keep on asking me why I give such a bad review on the gaming side for TCL and Hisense. Those are the things that stick out to me and stuff. And it's just like I just want consumers to be aware of it and stuff, and I want to be transparent with it. If I see it, I'm gonna call it out.
Yeah, and QD-OLED has many advantages. So SD here is saying that we're gonna have to get used to color banding because next year there will be no more QD-OLEDs. So yeah, they're saying that Samsung is kind of gonna get rid of QD-OLED for the TVs. I think that would
I
be
hope not.
a travesty. That's the best technology we have right now. Maybe
We'll
if
see with
it's
Sony announcement. We'll see.
the thing is, you follow the money. If it doesn't make enough money, they kill the technology. They don't care it's the best or whatever. So that is very sad. But QD-OLED has a lot of qualities that are superior to everything else. The screen uniformity with QD-OLEDs is fantastic. I had some issues with screen uniformity on some of these Samsung TVs, and actually I replaced some of them because of that. But the issue was near black. That's it. Once you get brighter, the screen uniformity was flawless. So QD-OLED is superior with screen uniformity, and it's not even close, especially when you compare that with WRGB. So even this G5 with the 4 stack, that's still a WRGB OLED, and the screen uniformity might be even worse than before. We don't know. We're gonna have to see how that pans out. Also, QD-OLED has better gradation of colors. You have that better color saturation. It's like it is OLED, so the responsiveness is great for gaming. The motion is great. I mean, the only thing I don't like about QD-OLED is the way the screen looks under lighting conditions, because they have this. The blue is basically a pass through, and then the light of the room illuminates the screen, and it looks terrible. So you need a completely black room. That's the only thing I don't like about QD-OLED. Is that, and the coating that Samsung is using, the glossy coating, is very fragile. You can scratch that easy. So
Yeah,
if
you
you use your nail, for example, if you do this with your nail on the TV, softly you're scratching the screen, and it's going to sound like if it was like a sticky. It's not a glass. It's not a glassy, like it's not like a glass surface where your nail would just, it's so smooth that your nail would not damage it. Now this would actually do like, and you actually damage the screen. So that's terrible. I have not cleaned my QD-OLEDs yet. I'm going to buy a blower, like a hand, a hand blower.
I know what you're
So,
talking about.
I'm gonna blow the particles, and that's it. I'm not gonna touch the screen. I'm just gonna blow the particles, and I'm not gonna clean it unless it gets worse and worse, and then I'll figure out what I can do, because you're gonna damage the screen. But aside from that, QD-OLED is the best.
Yeah. No, I agree, because I remember on the S95C and the A95K that I reviewed, the A95K specifically, It was scratched because when the TV was delivered when I was doing the unboxing, and Sony has gotten better with the boxing, but their packaging was so terrible. Samsung
Oh,
had an awful job
was
too.
it you? I think it was you that mentioned that the A95L didn't come with a protective layer on the screen with the packaging.
Yeah,
Uh,
Sony TVs. Oh, it was on the A95K. Yeah, they don't put protector layering on their Sony TVs at all for whatever reason. Samsung does it, LG does it, TCL does it, and Hisense does it. But Sony, for whatever reason, they don't put a plastic wrap
wow.
where when you unbox it for whatever reason. What they do is they put it in this like a wrapping. It's like a plastic bag. It's like that's the best way I could describe it. They put a plastic bag over it, and then on in front of it, they put like a cardboard box in front of it, and then that's how
Wow.
you unbox it. And I think that's kind of like the worst idea ever from a unboxing wise, is because on the A95K specifically, I didn't do the unboxing for the A95L, so that's why I'm talking about A95K specifically. Is that when you had that plastic wrapper on top of it that was on the TV, you could easily scratch it because of the film of the QD-OLED
Yeah.
screen. And I remember when I unboxed it, I looked at it, and the reason why this came up even more because Classy and KG was talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I said I noticed the scratches too, but I didn't want to say too much about it on because I was just thinking like maybe it was just the Sony part, but Samsung was having same issue too, because I think it's whatever the coating that they're using. But yeah, Sony doesn't do a good job with their boxing of their TVs, and I don't know why they don't have that film to to take off their screens and stuff. I think it's one of the dumbest things ever that they yet again charging the amount that they're charging, and they don't do the same thing with LG, Samsung, Hisense,
Look,
anything
the
else.
reason why I returned the last S95C I got, and I wanted to keep that TV. I got the S95C 55 inches for $750, $760, brand new. $760. That's just absolutely insane. I
Mhm,
wanted to keep that TV. I replaced it one time. The second one, the protective layer was peeled, and the top left corner was already peeled for some reason.
mhm,
It was not, it was bent and it was peeled already, and it had one dead pixel, and the other one was like going on in and out. So basically the screen was damaged. I could physically see that it was a little bit scratched, and that's where they had a dead pixel. So it is super important, that protective film. It is super important. So yeah, I think I think your camera run out of battery or overheating or something like that.
yeah, it just the battery ran out on there.
Is
That's
that,
why I
let
was
me
just
ask you, is that an expensive Sony camera that's overheating?
yeah,
Oh,
it's the A7 IV. I had the camera for a while now, but every time, yeah, I think its max is maybe an hour and a half. So I'm kind
yeah.
of shocked that. I'm kind of shocked that it did over an hour and a half. It did hour and 45 minutes before it kind of like saying
Yeah.
like, nah, I can't do it.
And I know it's not a Sony thing. All these XLR cameras and stuff, they do overheat.
Hmm.
Um and I think that's crazy. They are so expensive. Like my phone, I have an S23 Ultra.
Hmm.
This phone would record until the battery dies, and it doesn't overheat at all. 4K 60 HDR, no problem. Even
Mm,
8K 30, no problem. So how can a super expensive camera that's dedicated, how can that overheat and stop recording? I
yeah.
just, I think that's unacceptable.
Oh,
I
oh,
just,
believe me, especially streaming and stuff. That's one of my things that I was like, man, this camera.
and I understand, I understand the size of the thing for the
Hmm.
professional camera is a lot bigger. I understand, but still, it's just unacceptable that it
Yeah,
overheats. If it
yeah,
overheats, it's a broken product, in my opinion. It's
yeah,
broken. Like
yeah.
I will
No, no.
return it if I buy one of those cameras, $5,000, and I start recording a live stream or something overheats. I'm like, this is broken. It's so yeah.
He said, "You better take
But
this
I know
camera
they're all
back."
the same. Yeah.
No, I
Hey,
didn't
let's
pay
read some of the
$5,000,
comments.
so thank goodness.
We can do up to 2 hours if
Yeah,
you think that's fair.
I
Um,
think if we could do it for 10 more minutes, if that's cool with you. I want to kind of like go through the comments as well too
yeah,
and
let's
stuff. I
let's
know we've
read some
been
of the comments.
no,
By the
that's
way,
great.
can you highlight them too on your end?
Oh yeah. I
Okay,
didn't
okay.
know if you wanted me to. I like it's my first time doing a stream with you. I didn't know which one you want to highlight.
Yeah, I also want to address one thing about the matte finish now that someone is bringing it up. I heard that the Sony engineer at CES, you know, which is an expert, someone who knows a lot more than me, is a professional in many ways, and I'm not. Okay, I understand he might be right and all of that, but I would strongly challenge them saying that a matte finish would give you better shadow detail. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. If you have a low light scene, okay, and you are in a completely dark room, matte finish or glossy, it's not gonna give you better shadow detail. That is all 100% the calibration of the TV. So if you tell me the S95F is better calibrated, it's showing you better shadow detail, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's awesome. But don't tell me that you put a matte finish and that improves the shadow detail. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense.
It's
You
marketing.
either is the calibration is good and showing you the shadow detail or not. The coating is not going to improve the shadow detail. Now, if you tell me on a bright room because the coating is better, then the shadow detail can be seen better. But the thing is, for a bright room, you cannot see the shadow detail anyway. It doesn't make any sense to think. In my opinion, it doesn't make any sense to think about how a premium TV looks on bad lighting conditions. Like how it looks under. It's like you're gonna watch a movie, but there's a lot of noise. It's like, you know, like you have very high-end audio gear, but it's a very noisy environment. Like it doesn't make any sense to have, high-end audio gear if the environment is terrible to hear. See? So yeah, that's why I'm so against that matte finish. It doesn't make any sense. The premium best of the best cannot be a matte finish. There's no justification for the S95F to be a matte finish other than it's making them more money or for some reason. But technically, glossy is better in every single way. Just imagine you have a matte glass in the front of your car and you cannot see well. Just imagine if it's anything other than glossy, perfectly crystal clear, you cannot see well. If you put that in front of the TV, it's affecting the clarity of the image. That's undeniable. I don't care if it is third generation matte finish, it's still a matte finish. It's not better than glossy. So I just wanted to throw that out there because they're trying to defend it with fancy explanations, and I think is you cannot defend that. It's just worse.
No, and I agree with you because I've been talking about the matte finish on the S95D and the S95F that's going to be coming out. And I even did video of it when I was at Best Buy too. And I get it. I get people's arguments like when you're in the dark, you're not going to see the difference and stuff like it's not going to bother you and stuff. But it's just for me, I want to know Samsung reasoning for that is because I don't know who they surveyed as in customers that thought that, hey, we should go ahead and continue with the matte finish. Because I guarantee you that if you would have surveyed a lot of us, the majority would have said go with the glossy finish and stuff. So I don't know why Samsung is sticking to the matte finish design, especially for the expensive models. I can see why they're using the matte finish on their gallery series that they're doing for the LCD or mini LED TV. I completely understand that, but all the other TVs is like, why, why are you doing this and stuff?
If
Come
I
on.
go to CES next year, I want to go. By the way, I want to see, FOMO Brian, all the YouTubers, gaming tech. If he goes there too, Adam, like everyone. I want to go to CES next year, and I will most likely go because I have family in Las Vegas anyway,
Mm.
and I was gonna visit them in December for the holidays. So I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna wait until January and then go there. So I want to, if I have the chance, ask the Samsung engineer or whoever is there. I want to ask them specifically about that, and I want to. If that's okay, they might tell me, well, we have a. If they say we put a matte finish because it sells more, it makes more money, I'm like, okay, I have nothing to. There's no argument with that. But if they tell me that they do it because it's better, like it has better picture quality or something, I would challenge that, and I will go prepared to challenge that scientifically because it doesn't make any sense. It's just worse in every single way, and they should not have a matte finish for all the TVs, especially for the best TVs. It cannot be like that. They are killing QD-OLED basically. Someone here is saying that they're putting a matte finish to kill QD-OLED. It's terrible, man. Because the S95F, and now that we're getting close to the end of the stream, the title is like, what is the best display for gaming, PC, and all of that? The S95F, or previously the S95D, they have, in my opinion, the best panel, and nothing comes even close. If Samsung remove the matte finish, just keep it glossy, remove the One Connect box, and all the issues that have, fix the broken audio, like the plastic back rattling in the back, fix that, like just do the same design as the 90 class, basically. If they do that, there's no discussion, in my opinion. The S95F is the best TV you can get for gaming, for PC, console, whatever, and nothing comes even close. So yeah, that would be the best. Basically, in my opinion. They also, for console gaming and even for PC, they have the Game Motion Plus, which is your frame generation to go from 60 like 120 FPS, which it looks great. I use it all the time. So, but then a matte finish. So you have to, basically, my recommendation would be wait to see how is the S90F, to see how bright it is, to see if it has the glossy still, if it's 165 or still 144, last year's panel. So we have to wait for that. That's the TV to have, like, the one you want to buy. I think that's the one I would be looking forward to, especially for gaming. But I don't know. What do you think about what are you looking forward to? What do you think is the best?
Actually, I'm really looking forward to the LG G5. I don't know. It's just I know people are really giving a lot of heat towards LG because they're trying to figure out why they abandoned the whole MLA technology for this model for this year. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back next year. There's rumors about they're gonna bring it back, but I'm interested in seeing that TV. The only reason why I'm very interested in seeing that TV is because they're going to be up in their full screen brightness as well too. It's not going to be on the S95 F brightness wise for full screen brightness, but I'm kind of curious to see what LG is going to do with that. I'm also excited. I'm actually more excited for Hisense RGB mini LED TV, but it's definitely going to be out of the price realm. A possibility of me to ever review that TV or get that TV because it's going to be, I think
That's
some people have said,
116 inches.
yeah, it's going to. I think that's like a $30,000 TV, and if Heisman's, if you ever watch the stream or look at any of our videos, I would love to get a review unit and stuff, but I don't think they'll send me a 116-inch
And
screen
I would love to
TV.
try that, even if it's outside of game mode for gaming, to see those 10,000 nits with all that quality. I would love to try that too.
Yeah, I would love to see that. So I'm really excited to hopefully see. Well, I know I'm going to see the G5, but I really am excited about the RGB mini LED TV, just because when they were just talking about the BT 2020 compared to QD OLED, I was kind of shocked about that, even though it's going to be way expensive. But it just seeing that, I'm interested of just seeing the TV. Also, to I'm curious to see what TCL and what Sony is going to be doing too. I'm more curious about Sony just because there's been rumors that they're not going to be doing QD OLED this year. And if those rumors are true, and depending on the leaks of their TV models, then unfortunately it might be the end of QD OLED. And because the thing is that you only have one company that is using QD OLED for TVs, and it's Samsung, and you have all the other manufacturers going to be using LG displays. So I'm curious to see what Sony is going to announce. I could be totally wrong about this, and they are going to come out with a QD OLED TV for this year for the replacement of the A95L. But if there's a possibility that they're not, then I hate to say this to everyone, but QD OLED might be dead and stuff. So,
Well, let me give you my take on that. I think that was a very, very interesting, comment from you. I think Sony has it very easy to be the best TV, win everything. All they have to do is use the same S95F panel and make it glossy. That's it. Best TV of the year, no questions asked. Okay, because the panel itself of the S95F is absolutely amazing. It's like 400, it can go over 400 nits full screen. It is like the peak brightness can get over 2000 nits, no issues. So if Sony just puts a glossy finish on that and make it as accurate as possible for HDR, and they can do that, and hopefully they let you turn off the ASBL dimming, and have HGIG for gaming. We need that, and they know how to do that. Is basically no tone mapping on the TV. That's a reference monitor, basically. Just why not? They know how to do that. I don't think that's difficult at all for them. That's a piece of cake for them. Why not? So if they offer the right options, the right gaming features, I'm interested on gaming mostly, but they can do the same for movies, of course. It's an easy win. Easy win. Basically, they would be laughing at Samsung. They are using their own panel and just destroying Samsung with that matte finish. It would be the best TV, and it would actually be worth the premium. If Sony uses the same S95F panel, which is the best panel in the world, and they put a glossy finish, it's worth the premium, because basically there's no other way you can get that picture quality. No other way. It's like the best TV, nothing comes close. Now, when it comes to the G5 or this new WRGB tandem, I love that they removed the MLA, actually. Now, they didn't do it for the reason, they probably did it so they can add the MLA next year, or for the G6, and make it even bright. So basically, they could be a lot better, but they said, no, let's not give them that yet. just make it a little bit better now, and that's it. But the reason why I like that they removed the MLA is because it is going to look the best under some lighting conditions. The screen looks more black. It's not like washed out like QD-OLED. The blacks don't get raised with the ambient light. The MLA raises the blacks a little bit. It's not as bad as QD-OLED, but it does that a little bit. So I love that the G5 is going to go back to look like the G2 used to look, like super black, or my C1. I love that. So I am excited about the G5. It's brighter. It is a little bit more colorful, but I wanna make very clear, it's still a WRGB OLED. It's not going to have better color than QD-OLED. It
No,
will not. And
it
one
won't.
thing that I've been saying about QD-OLED after actually trying it at home is that for me, QD-OLED, maybe because it is RGB, it's not WRGB. I don't know the reason exactly why, but for me, QD-OLED looks awesome. It looks more, how can I say? Imagine it's like I describe it as a beautiful woman without, like, that doesn't need makeup, basically, like no makeup. Imagine raw beauty. See, just waking up is beautiful. You don't need to do anything to it. And so all the opposite would be mini LED. So mini LED is like plastic surgery. It's like impressive, but it's not real. It's like it's all processing, it's all tricks to make it look good. So it's like that's your plastic surgery, mini LED. And then you have your WRGB, which is beautiful, but it has a lot of makeup with that W to make it brighter. See, so that's the
Well,
way I describe it. But it's still
ho-
WRGB.
hopefully,
So
hopefully we don't have any women in the chat.
no, it's a way to explain it. So basically, what I'm saying is that for me, QD-OLED, it looks amazing, and I don't need anything special on screen. So I don't need like a highlight. I don't need anything special. Like even something like 100 nits of whatever, nothing special. It looks correct. It looks perfect. With WRGB, my C1, there was something off that I couldn't quite point out. See, it was like, man, something I didn't like coming from a plasma. I was not very happy with my C1, and I think it's that WRGBs. It was not
Mm,
RGB like my plasma. So maybe that's what it is.
hmm. Yeah, no, that's I think that's one of the best analogy I think I heard in a very long time. But yeah, you're right. I QD OLED technology, it's the best. I mean, I don't care what anyone say. I mean, until we see the four stack layer from LG, or the tandem RGB tandem that they calling it now, um, we have to see. But I would just say this, like QD OLED is going to be better and stuff, because even if you look at the BT 2020 and stuff, they went up just, I think it's around 80%, 80, 83%, 82%. It's still nowhere near QD OLED when it comes to the colors and stuff. It's not going to beat it and stuff. So um the only thing that I think LG may have a leg up on is maybe the processing and stuff, but that's that's about it and stuff. But when it comes to technology wise, QD-OLED is still going to be the better technology.
Yeah. So yeah, do you want to leave it there?
Yeah,
Being over
yeah,
for 2 hours. I mean, this
this has
was
been
great.
awesome.
You can join us when we have the full crew. Gaming Tech. Adam, we can get together whenever you want, and just have a chat. So I appreciate, I am glad we joined today. Also, I would like to join KG again. Also,
We're gonna get them back.
Brian. I did one with KG and FOMO, but
There,
I've never
Brian.
done a live stream with Brian, so
Brian is
that would be
awesome.
great.
Brian is awesome. KG is Brian. Brian is really good. He's
I
really
want
really funny and
I
stuff.
wonder
We have to laugh.
what Brian thinks about my analogy with the plastic surgery and mini LED.
That he would love it. He would literally probably message you right after the stream and say, "Dude, we need you more." Because when you gave that analogy, I'm probably going to even have to take that analogy. That was so perfect of what you just said about WRGB OLED. compared to QD-OLED technology. You're spot on with it and stuff. And I know a lot of people get really upset that I favor QD-OLED technology compared to LG WOLED. It's just the thing is that when it comes to watching content, everybody said, well, you don't get a lot of content that mastering the same thing. You notice the difference. You notice the difference when you see those TVs side by side. And it's like, I don't care what anybody tells you and stuff like that. Unless you have this TV at home, you won't, like I said, you won't know until you actually experience the QD-OLED. Once you experience it, it's so hard to go back. It's like you can't go on any other technology. Like I said, I have a mini LED TV. I know no better to talk about that the mini LED TV is better than QD-OLED technology. I'm never going to say that. I have a WOLED TV upstairs too. I would never say that QD-OLED is worse than is going to be worse. It's the best technology. Period. That's it.
And I was blown away with it. I thought I was gonna hate it, and when I saw it here on my home with the lights off, because in the store they look terrible to me. When I saw it here, I'm like, well, I bought two. I was like 2 years without buying anything. I was happy with my C1. I got a QD-OLED. I'm like, no, I want another one. I got two QD-OLEDs. That's how impressed I was with the technology. It just looks amazing.
Yeah, and just the thing is that until you experience it, you'll see. Seeing is believing. That's all I could pretty much say with that TV. And once you bring it home, and of course you got to tweak the settings and stuff like that. Because Samsung, let's face it, they have gotten better over the years, but you still have to tweak the settings, the picture settings to your liking, because sometimes it could be when it comes to skin tones, some people have some issues with that. But once you get it to the settings that you want, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful TV. It's a beautiful TV and stuff.
Now that before we finish, Jeffrey here brings up the fact that the Costco version of the S90D has another feature with the HDR remaster, and that's true. And also, it is more likely to have the 2000 nits panel. So probably right now the best TV you can get, in my opinion, would be that S90DD from Costco or Sam's Club, because it is more likely to have the brighter panel, the 2000 nits panel, and have has the HDR remastered function. It's not brighter than the S95D or what the S95F will be, but it's a glossy finish. So for me, matte is like, I don't even consider that. So that will be my recommendation if you can get one of those.
Oh yeah, they got some good sales on them. They got some really, really good sales, especially with the Super Bowl is happening coming soon. You're gonna find some really good deals on some TVs. So
okay, well, let's leave it there, man. Thank you very much for joining. Let's do it again. Let's do it with KG one time. Let's do it,
oh yeah, we're gonna keep it going. Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out to me and stuff, and I'm glad we had this talk, and I'm glad I was on your stream and stuff, and we're just gonna keep having more fun. Hope everyone loves it, and don't forget to hit that like and the subscribe button too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone that was here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support. We'll keep it rolling. I will have a video about the new NVIDIA drivers. I tested it today. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm going to do the unboxing of the monitor. I'm getting a 360 Hz QD-OLED monitor. I cannot wait to try that. I'm going to do a bunch of videos about that. What about you? What do you have planning?
I'm gonna see if I could check out the new TCL. I'm trying to debate if I want to do the QM's the QM6K. I haven't quite decided if I wanted to do that review yet, because I know FOMO's first one. He just did a live stream yesterday about it, but I'm trying to debate if I want to get that one or wait for the QM7 to come out.
Get the 8.
Yeah. Well, once they announce it, and then go from there. But yeah, I'm gonna pick one of those TVs up and then go from there. I'm looking forward to the G5, but I think that TV is not gonna come out to like March or something. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely. And I think about might doing some monitor reviews too. I did it years ago because I'm still rocking my Samsung Odyssey G7, and I absolutely love that monitor and stuff. But it's old, and so I definitely need to upgrade to something. And I was thinking about doing something this year. I'm thinking about getting the QD OLED monitor. I just haven't decided which one to get and stuff. So,
Well, I'll let you know how good is this one. I cannot wait to try it.
oh, let me
So,
know. Please
yeah.
let me know. So,
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. You guys take care and have a great day. Thanks, Max. We'll do
all
it
right.
again.
Thanks again. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.